Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whenever the fuck you're watching this episode's Backyard Blitz. We are back. Got plenty of shit to talk about. Got the whole gang with us. Chug-a-lugging. Got the pod going up on a Tuesday. We are live here. Whether you're watching YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, we appreciate you tuning in. My name is Raul Herrera, and like I said before, we got the whole gang here. So let's go right down the line. Andy Flint, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. What's going on, guys?
Happy belated anniversary, man. First week back. Yeah.
That could have been killer last week.
Senior says hello to all from Alfred Station.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, Dad. Gary, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Missed you last week, Andy. Good to have you back this week, bud.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We definitely have a lot of things to talk about.
Yes, sir.
So I guess we should just go ahead and dive right into it. Let's start by going through all of these divisions, starting with the NFC North. We're going to cover the NFC here this week. Next week, we'll cover the AFC. So starting up in the North, we got Packers, Lions, Vikings, Bears. I mean, what's kind of a brief synopsis of running through all teams? Emphasis on brief, boys. Emphasis on brief.
We'll do our best.
Yeah, I have no doubt that you'll try.
Andy, you're the Lions fan. You want to start with Detroit?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's anything to really go into here too deeply. I mean, they won 3 games last season, which was pretty understandable. I think they're probably a 5 to 7 win team this year. They're going to be improved. The coaching seems to be there. We hope they still have Jared Goff, so I don't know how far you can go with that, man.
Yeah, well, and maybe he needs to be a little more battle hardened. Maybe. Doubt it, but maybe. Gary, looking at, I mean, I guess we don't have teams in this division, but I mean, so before we get into who the high winners and losers are, I mean, is there any kind of state of the union, I guess is what you referenced earlier?
Yeah, I mean, looking at Detroit, I like the trend, right? That's the big thing. For Detroit, it's building. It's the big trade with Stafford. You got assets in the draft, and I think they've had some good drafts here in back-to-back years. I really like what Dan Campbell's doing from a coaching perspective, building the guys up, bring some grit, some toughness. As Andy said, they may be a 5 to 7 win team. I've heard some bullish people saying they might make the playoffs, which I think is probably 2 years too early, if I'm being realistic. But I like the trend. I like where they're going. I like that they've built the offense and defensive lines. They have a couple of playmakers on that team. And Andy said it. If they get quarterback play, I think that team can be good. Not this year, but in a couple of years. If they continue to draft well, build that foundation. I think the surprise here, maybe, I don't know if it took anybody by surprise or maybe I assume it took everybody by surprise. Davante Adams gets traded out of the division, and you suddenly think, if you're a Vikings fan, right? I mean, maybe not the Lions so much or the Bears because they're both in kind of rebuild mode, but if you're a Vikings fan, you have to think this is the year that the Packers are susceptible, right? They don't have Davante Adams, but then you look on the defensive side of the ball, and they've built a fucking juggernaut on that side of the ball. So, I mean, Andy, what are your thoughts here at the top of the division? Vikings, Packers, what's the state of the union there with those two?
I think the Vikings are going to win the division. The Vikings tend to be the team that sneaks one in on Green Bay every few years anyways, whether it's, not necessarily winning the division, but winning 11 games or 12 games. They have a lot of, you talk about the defense, they have a lot of firepower on offense. I mean, they have Dalvin Cook's one of the best running backs in the league still at this point. He has to stay healthy. But, you have the emergence of Justin Jefferson, could establish himself as maybe the best receiver in the NFL already, and it's crazy to think about. You have Adam Thielen lining up next to him, who's still a great receiver. And, we've had many discussions about Kirk Cousins. I don't want to go into it too much, but he's above average. So, let's give a little praise to that offense, I think, to go along with the defense. I think the door is wide open. I'd have to look at all the schedules across the board. I know who the Lions play. I don't know what Green Bay and Minnesota's particular schedules look like. So I do think Minnesota gets it done this year.
I think that Minnesota can get it done from a wild card perspective. I still have no doubt that Aaron Rodgers is going to perform and still produce and secure the division. But, it was Colin Cowherd who made the reference that I feel like best suits it. I mean, he's the white Dak Prescott. Kirk Cousins is not going to get you far, even with Justin Jefferson.
That is the most insulting thing you've ever said about Kirk Cousins. Well done, bud. I'll tip the cap. But, I mean, maybe
No. It's not original.
First, but, like,
Yeah.
that's so insulting because Kirk Cousins has won big games. He's beaten good teams. He's beaten teams with an above 500 record, and Dak Prescott has not. So from a production standpoint, maybe it's equivalent, but from results on the field, that couldn't be farther from the truth. But I'm with Andy. I think the Vikings are going to win this division because I don't think that Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to duct tape and Band-Aid together a serviceable wide receiver core on that offense. And I think they're going to win 11 or 12. And I think Minnesota's probably going to win 12 or 13 because I think all of the drama with Mike Zimmer and all the bullshit that went on with him is out of that locker room now. Kevin O'Connell's a good coach. He comes from the McVay vein. He also has familiarity with Kirk from his time in Washington. I think Minnesota this year is the year that they've got everything in place. So I'm with Andy. I've got Minnesota winning this division. It's not going to be easy. Green Bay's obviously not going to go away quietly. I just think that Green Bay's going to find out that they're going to lose some 16, 14 games this year because they just don't have enough weapons on offense. People are going to be able to stack the box a bit against Aaron Jones because Allen Lazard, for all of the talk that Aaron Rodgers loves the guy, he's not Devontae Adams, right? So I just don't know that they're going to be able to generate enough offense to complement that defense. Now in December, January, you might see that defense start to take games over because that's when defense starts winning games. But I think throughout the course of the season, they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle to score points on offense, which is incredibly surprising to say with Aaron Rodgers.
Well, and we do see, like, for anybody who plays fantasy football, and that's probably most people watching, Allen Lazard is already – we're seeing the Aaron Rodgers effect because he's going ahead of guys who, like, are better players than him. There's the Christian –
he's like ADP, like 15 or something right now,
It's crazy. Like, I mean, there's guys who I would rather have personally. Kadarius Toney, Christian Kirk, Brandon Ayuk, Elijah Moore, Chase Claypool. And it's nobody like crazy that you're going – I mean, you're wide receiver 3, but – Lazard with the Rodgers effect. I mean, if he had almost anybody else throwing him the ball, yeah, it's wild.
Is there an X factor or anything that would really help the Bears, give them a chance at anything?
No.
The 2024 draft.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. I mean, positive note for the Bears is, they might get a real good chance to clean house. I mean, I hate for that to be your silver lining. But
I feel bad for Justin Fields in all of this because he
too.
had the Nagy effect. And it's gonna potentially derail his career because you're looking at 2024 is going to be his 4th year in the league. Yeah. If I just threw that number out there, but like if they're projecting 2-3 years down the road, that likely means that they're drafting another quarterback and it's not going to be Justin Fields. So I like him. I think he's a dog. I think he's got potential in this league, but I don't think it's going to happen in Chicago. I think he's looking at who's his next team. Maybe he gets to sign a free agent contract with some money. And if they haven't completely ruined him and made him punch drunk, as we've seen with a lot of, young quarterbacks that go to bad. So David Carr is a prime example. Uber talented, got punch drunk in Houston, never was able to revive his career. I hope that doesn't happen to Justin Fields.
And jumping back to the fantasy train real quick, if you're out there taking Darnell Mooney ahead of like Juju Smith-Schuster and Hunter Renfrow, Adam Thielen, you don't do it.
You're planning on the Bears being slinging it a lot from behind, maybe, but
well, I mean, I like Mooney and I like Fields as well, but the line's going to be tremendously bad. And looking at,
do they have 5 guys that can even block their own shadow on that team?
I don't even know if they have 5 guys on the offensive line. I think they're going to be
couldn't tell
together other guys, but
couldn't really tell.
I looking at some of this wide receiver stuff makes me sick. Adam Thielen is going criminally low, like in fantasy drafts. It's nuts.
Last week he was my must-have, man, mid-round guy that I think is going to be able to put up some big numbers in that offense. Jefferson's going to get all the attention. Thielen's just going to feast. He's going to have.
Allen Robinson.
Hey, help me settle a debate here from last week, Andy, about I called Juju Smith-Schuster a sleeper pick because I predict that his bounce back year is going to be solid. Like, I think he's gonna, from a fantasy perspective.
Sure. I mean, I agree with that. I guess it'd be in the wording. I don't know how many people aren't like keen to that. Gary, are you against him having a productive year, or you just don't think he's a sleeper?
Juju. Yeah, I'm just.
You're out on him.
I'm
out. He says.
Yeah, I think that's nuts. But if
he's gonna be successful, it's in that offense. I gave Raul that last week. I'm out on Juju.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm successful in that offense, but
probably.
I mean, we've seen Juju play good football before. I don't love Juju, but I mean. I do.
He definitely has to get out of his own way.
There's no Antonio Brown opposite of him in Kansas City, though. Maybe Travis Kelce's going to take
the idea that crazy balanced itself out is fucking beyond me, dude.
Well, right, you got Kelce. Kelce's still got to be the focal point if you're the defense in the passing game. So,
well, and there's Jackson Mahomes too that brings a little bit to you. I mean, it'll probably keep him at bay, or it'll be his demise. So. Running into the NFC East, let's just jump right into knocking our divisions out so that we can talk about yours. State of the Union here for me is pretty simple. I think the Eagles are going to take the division, and Cowboys are going to be fortunate if they can secure a wild card spot. Before I jump into I guess I'll jump into the Cowboys State of the Union ultimately. I mean, Dak's got to actually perform to the contract that he's been paid, and it's not going to happen. I mean, he's not going to be able to execute the way he's expected to, regardless. I mean, regardless of whether or not he has the offensive weapons, which he's had, regardless of whether or not he has a number one offensive line in the NFL, which he's had, there is no reason that any Cowboys fan should believe that we're going to do anything significant this year with Dak Prescott at the helm, period. It's that simple. I think this is a terminal fucking lost cause until we get a new quarterback. But it's just a matter of staying relevant in a playoff picture. So from a realistic perspective, I think we could secure a wild card spot, and I think that we don't make it to a conference championship.
So I think we all know how famously last season ended for the Dallas Cowboys. Embarrassing, famous ending where they just ran the clock out. But you look at it, they were a playoff team, and if they beat the 49ers, they're looking at a deep playoff run. Winning in January is a big deal. Did they get better this offseason? Did they get demonstrably worse?
No.
So they're going to be a fringe wildcard team. Is that kind of your expectation as a Cowboys fan?
Yes, and the only reason that I say it's a fringe wildcard team is because I am expecting some improvement this year. I mean, I believe that we will see some type of improvement, assuming that Dak stays healthy. The receiving core, maybe CeeDee Lamb remembers how to properly catch a ball. I was running some numbers with a buddy of mine earlier today talking about receptions because I was making the claim that CeeDee Lamb can't hold on to a fucking ball. And we've seen it from Dez before, he had those streaks. But, again, for everybody praising CeeDee Lamb for what he is, he's not producing enough on the catching phrase. Like there was, I think last year, him and Cooper Kupp had the same amount of drops, missed passes. But Kupp had 71 more targets. So, just to put into perspective there. So, leading the race was actually Jamar Chase last year in drops.
Couldn't see the football.
Similar amount of targets, though, to be clear.
Andy, as the impartial third party here with the Cowboys, what are your thoughts on them this year?
I think they're going to win the division. I don't see much from Washington. I don't see anything from the Giants, and I don't think I buy the Philly thing. I don't know. This Philly shit kind of came out of nowhere. Everybody I talk to is all of a sudden like Philly's going to be real good, and I'm like, why? Because they got AJ Brown. Like that is that the reason? And I think for most people that is the big underlying reason. And I like AJ Brown. I think he's going to have a down year, comparatively speaking. I don't know. Like, I feel like every time I'm supposed to believe in Philly, when they were like, we're the Miami Heat of the NFL and shit like that. Like, yeah. I don't know. I think
Vince Young calling them the dream team.
Right. Dallas is still good enough to win 10 or 11 games, and I think 10 or 11 games might get it done. So,
yeah.
I mean, they won 12 last year.
I want to be clear about that, too. The only reason I say that Philly takes it is because they were close enough to beat us. Like, within the last few years, they've been relatively close enough to take the division. Washington has had their moments, but for the most part, it's been it's been always between us and the Eagles. And so I think that they just now had the edge with A.J. Brown versus we haven't made enough really significant changes in the offseason to really make a big impact, but I do still expect improvement. But that's only because of the gelling of the offense. Like, I'm curious to see this Mike McCarthy, Kellen Moore relationship to continue to develop. I just want to see how that looks this year. That's it. And again, we did pick up some help on the defense, which is just going to help keep our offense off the field.
Right.
How
And
much
that's
are they
what
going to miss Amari Cooper? How much are they going to miss Amari Cooper?
Not much.
Not much.
I
think they can afford.
I think he's grossly overrated, and
and
his time in Dallas proved that.
They can afford to lose guys on the offensive end in lieu of bringing guys in defensively, and I do think that that's kind of what they did. They don't have Gallup anymore, who's never on the field anyways.
Right.
No more Cooper. I think we get to see CeeDee Lamb be the
and
guy
Tony Pollard, dude.
in the passing. And then you have Pollard and Zeke still, and I think that they can do enough things. They can block well enough still on offense. Dak needs to be healthy. I know you guys don't love him. I think I don't mind him at all. So we'll see. To me, it's more of Philly not taking enough of a step.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I think this is the year we're going to find out if Dak Prescott is or isn't a quarterback worthy of the paycheck he got, because they don't have that fallback of, we've got Amari Cooper, we've got CeeDee Lamb, they had Gallup, and everybody expected all the weapons, and then Gallup would continue to get hurt, Dak got hurt. There was always the built-in excuse. Zeke was nicked up the one year. Offensive line had a few guys on IR. I think this year going into the season, the expectation is Dak got paid. Now it's time for Dak to take this offense, which may not have the same set of weapons they've always had, but do something with it, win games, and prove that you're worth that paycheck. I don't believe in it. I know a lot of people do. I just look at what Dak does when the plays matter, and he's not good. He's not good when the plays matter. He's really, really good. I tried to find an equivalent off the top of my head as you guys were talking a little bit about Dallas, and I couldn't come up with it. But there's basketball players that we know as fantasy basketball players. They are stat stuffers, but they're not on winning teams. They don't play winning basketball. To me, that's what Dak Prescott is. He's a stat stuffer. He's always going to be up in the top 5 of productivity with quarterbacks. But when the team needs him to go win a game, he hasn't proven he can do that. And that, to me, this season is the season. If Dak's going to show that he's worth that paycheck, that's what he's going to have to do this year. They're going to have to win in January. They're going to have to win when they play teams above 500. They're going to have to beat other playoff teams. We haven't seen him do that.
Yeah, basically, Dak is definitely going to be the big difference here. Free Senior says Dak needs to figure in more of a running game. He doesn't seem to be. Yeah, I agree about needing the run game, but that's also going to be contingent on having a reliable run game. I mean, Zeke's got to be able to perform, and I think he's peaked, and so you got to start really kind of channeling Pollard in there, because
I think it's time to start.
He's a workhorse.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
All right. Any other closing thoughts here? I mean, did you need to, State of the Union on the Commanders here, right?
Yeah, I could talk a little bit about it. The big thing for me is the X factor, and the big thing for Washington is going to be, can Scott Turner put Carson Wentz in positions to succeed? I don't trust Scott Turner at all. I've been very vocal about that. I don't trust this entire coaching staff, essentially. But if Washington is going to be successful this year and contend for this division, it's going to rely heavily on Scott Turner finding favorable matchups in this offense to give Carson Wentz reads that he can be successful with. If Scott Turner's just mailing it in every week, there's no quarterback in the league that's going to be able to overcome that. We've seen really talented offenses not be able to. I mean, look at Dallas with Mike McCarthy. They can't overcome him. It's just this constant churn of this Carolina bullshit up here in the DC area. And I need Scott Turner to get over that hump and start to be the wonderkin that everybody thought he was because of who his father was. I don't trust it, but if that's something Scott Turner can do this year, I think Carson Wentz gets back to what we saw from him in 2017 and parts of 2018 when he was MVP caliber. But if Scott Turner's not taking advantage of the weapons that Carson Wentz has, the most weapons he's ever had, even bar no team he's ever played on. Philly, Indy, bar none. He's got the most weapons on offense that he's ever had. Terry McLaurin's an elite wide receiver. Curtis Samuel is a guy that's a real Swiss Army knife. Good running game, good tight end. Logan Thomas is an underrated guy at tight end. And then they drafted Jahan Dotson, who everybody thinks has been awesome in camp. We'll see what he is on the field. But Carson Wentz has the most weapons and the best opportunity he's had to succeed in this league. But if they don't do things to put him in position to succeed, Washington is going to be a 4-win team again this year.
We need to see it from the defense, though.
Yeah.
That team went from being an animal 2 years ago to being below average last year, really. I mean,
it's vanilla coverage. It's 10, 15 yards off the ball. Expect the defensive line to just get home every time. Offenses are going to pick you apart, and it's what we've seen from the last 18 months from this fucking team.
I mean, and it wasn't just Washington. We saw, the Colts in Miami with great defenses be bad. Yeah, they were middle of the pack. I mean, it's one of those things that it can go away so quick, and teams can prep for it so quickly. And if you can't do things on the other side of the ball and you're relying so much on your defense in this era, you're fucked. So yeah, I think Carson Wentz is a bum, but
that's a fair take though. Like there's no counter argument to that.
Yeah,
it's easy for people to point out he lost to Jacksonville last year when it was on the line, but nobody wants to talk about the defense being awful and Jonathan Taylor not being able to run the ball against Jacksonville.
Right. I've never loved the dude. I mean, I don't know. It's just one of those guys I've always kind of been like, eh.
Yeah, sure. That's fair. If Scott Turner doesn't put him in position to succeed, we're going to suck. That's just what it boils down to. Give him favorable matchups. He's got arm talent. He's a strong guy. He can move around a little bit. But if you're relying on him to go out there and carry an offense, he's not that guy.
How you guys feel about the Giants? Make some noise.
So in the NFC South, we've got the Panthers, the Falcons, the Saints, and the Buccaneers.
I like it. I respect that.
So, I mean, look, Baker's going to give Touchdown Tommy a fucking run for his money.
You got that?
No, not even remotely like that. But
I was hoping you were serious.
I was ready for the saucy take, bud.
I wanted that to be serious.
No, but honestly, I do feel like oh God, that's bad nostalgia. So it's not going to be the Saints. It's not going to be the Falcons. It's not going to be the Panthers. I want the Panthers to be the dark horse to just throw Touchdown Tommy off his rocker only because this Bucs camp doesn't there's no confidence in this Bucs camp, right? Like it's Tommy's the reason why there's confidence in this Bucs camp, but even then there's his attendance is kind of sparse and there's these conditions where he's still kind of, he's still Tom Brady. He's still Tom Brady. He's still got his I just feel like he's much more distant from the team, and maybe that changes when the season starts. But I would absolutely love to see the Panthers just take the division. So locked it in for the win. The Panthers are taking the NFC South.
That's a great hot take.
I like it.
I'm in.
So real quick on the Tom Brady thing, and Andy, you can jump in after this on what you think of the NFC South here. But there's been a lot of talk about what's going on with Tom. Some people thought maybe death in the family. Supposedly this was scheduled. So when he announced he was coming back, this was I'm going to come into camp. I'll be there for 2 weeks. Then I've got this thing with my family. I'll be back before week 1. So this just looks like a player that just kind of called his shot and was like, yeah, I'll be in. I'll get some chemistry with the boys, and then I'm out, and I'll be back, and we'll go win some football games. And if anybody could call his shot like that,
I mean, it's the lead singer, right? It's the fucking lead singer who never goes to the practice. He just shows up and sings.
Well, and the Bucs only need to win fucking 9 or 10 games probably to win that division. I mean, Atlanta's going to be awful.
Not much over 500 on the season.
So we have no confidence in the Saints here?
No, dude. I don't think I do.
Why?
I mean, I don't know if it's no
top
confidence.
5 to 7 defense.
Okay, great. Who's going to score points, though? Who's going to score?
Is he, though?
Maybe.
I don't know how much I believe in Michael
They say
Thomas.
he looks good in practice.
I don't know how much I believe in Alvin
Yeah.
Kamara at this point. I'm
He
surprised.
might get suspended.
He
Tomorrow might be
continues to
suspended
run a
for at
great
least the 40.
slant route.
Yeah, Michael Thomas.
So it's not no faith. It's just a
Low
lack
faith.
of faith in, like, I think they can win 8 games, maybe.
Sure.
But, like, I don't – I think if they were to win 8 games, Tampa's going to win 9 or 10. And they're just – in Carolina, I would love to be on that. But I think we're going to have a situation similar to last year where they're not sure who their quarterback is. At some point, Sam Darnold's going to be looking real good over there on the bench when Baker's fucking things up. And you can't do that.
Yeah.
And that's what they're going to do.
You have 2 quarterbacks. You have none.
McCaffrey's going to play 7 games. I don't know.
Is he going to play that many?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if I trust it yet. So I think Tampa just walks off with this one again.
And how convenient that Tom Brady gets another fucking, like he just walks into one of the. Yeah, he's walking into the right now. I think it's. You know what? It's here's my favorite take. He is walking into the shittiest division in the NFC. I mean, outside of the Bucks, it's the shittiest division. Saints, Falcons, Panthers, and I think the NFC East can take the NFC South.
I mean, I think Atlanta might be the worst team in the whole conference.
They might be the worst team in football.
Strong possibility. So,
yeah.
I mean, the Giants are still waving like, "Hey, we're here," but Atlanta is going to be. I feel bad for Kyle Pitts. I just don't. I mean, fucking Mariota running around behind the line of scrimmage, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Gets a sack, gets a pick. I don't know what to do with that team. And so, I mean, speaking of an Atlanta connection, now you got like Julio Jones just casually strolls to Tampa Bay.
How about the embarrassment of riches in Tampa? Gronk retires, and Tom just calls Julio and says, "Hey, bud, you want to come catch red zone passes?"
And that's what it is too. You want to have 480 yards with 7 touchdowns.
Right.
It's the fucking retirement league, but they're still getting rings.
Right.
And you can score some playoff touchdowns.
I did make this mistake with Tom Brady once in a wide receiver when Chad Johnson went to New England. I was like, he's gonna fucking have 10 touchdowns.
Johnson was so washed.
And I was just arguing with people about it, and I was so wrong.
Dude, this is the I mean, simply put, this is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are like the ride away tour. I mean, it's the farewell team.
Tours.
Yeah, the sunset
Think about
team.
what they can line up.
And of course, it's Florida, right? The retirement state.
It's like Dwayne Wade's first championship with Miami.
Yeah, Shaq and
fucking
all the people that cycled there.
Alonzo Mourning.
Think about what the Bucs can line up on 3rd and goal from the 2. Julio Jones, who's 6'4", Mike Evans, who's 6'5", Cameron Brate, who's like 6'4", and then they just signed Kyle Rudolph, who's like 6'3", and probably the biggest bodied tight end in the league. That's so silly to line that up. And not to mention they've got the best probably slot wide receiver in football with Chris Godwin, who just wins every matchup he's ever faced. And
if you get in this situation too, I was thinking about this the other day, where you have Evans out there, obviously, and you have Godwin out there, and you could just say, Julio, go play tight end out there. Let's get you with a middle linebacker or some shit like that.
Against the fucking against
just run up that seam. What are you gonna do about it? Like nothing. Yeah.
You're gonna turn and look at the back of his jersey.
I mean, even if he looks like he did last year, I think the Titans' mistake though too was they expected way too much out of him.
Yeah,
like I think that they thought they had 1,000-yard, 8-touchdown receiver, and it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. I think the big X factor in this division though, and I don't want to make light of it too much, but the Saints are going to have a defense. The Falcons are going to be awful, and of course we know what we got with Tampa. If Carolina gets 17 games from Christian McCaffrey with Baker Mayfield at quarterback, who we know can utilize a running back, we saw him do it in Cleveland quite a bit. When they were healthy on the offensive line, when he was healthy, he was pretty damn good. He won the only playoff game the Browns have won, in this fucking millennium. So if Christian McCaffrey, by some stroke of fucking fairy dust luck, plays 17 games, I think Carolina is going to be able to put up enough points and they've got a pretty decent defense. They don't have a great defense, but they've got a pretty decent defense that they may sneak a peek at a wild card spot. And if the Buccaneers fuck around and stumble early in the season, and as you mentioned, Andy, the 9-10 games, and Raul, I think you also said 9-10 games might win this division. Carolina might fuck around and win 9 or 10 games, and suddenly we're looking at a Week 18 that matters, right, for both Carolina and Tampa Bay. Now, I know I'm stretching really, really far to expect Christian McCaffrey to play 17 games. 7's probably a stretch. 17's a fucking huge stretch. But if things all break their way, I think Carolina can score some points because they've got some decent wide receivers, and they've got the best running back, dual threat running back in football if he plays. So that's my X factor in this division is Christian McCaffrey's health. I think that changes everything for Carolina.
With that being said, fucking Panthers taking it, boys.
Listen, I would agree. My last point on this, that if he plays 14 or 15 games, that's a completely different assessment of what I'm giving them with what I expect them to play, which is less than 10. Right. I really think it's less than 10.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just scorned because I had him in fantasy last
year. You're just
year.
talking, I mean, if we're talking halfway through the season, you're taking the under.
Yeah. I mean, again, if I'm expecting McCaffrey, say an injury's not, say you're playing Madden and you've turned injuries off, they can win 10 games.
I say 13 games.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we need to fucking check your blood alcohol level.
You're right. We, you heard it here first though. All right. So that being said, let's move into the NFC West. We got the 49ers, Cardinals, Rams, and the Seahawks. So I'll be honest, man, with this, I mean, this is closing out the NFC talk for this, but this just overall makes me feel like the NFC is just fucking boring. I don't know about Kyler. I mean, I know he's injured, so we'll see some, he's not going to get the start right away. The Seahawks are fucked. The 49ers, unless they can I mean, you're going up against the Rams, dude.
Nobody's upset that the Seahawks are fucked either.
No.
Except Seahawks fans.
I don't even think Seahawks fans are upset because they've had a good run. They've had a good run. They forgot after the Super Bowl appearance. Right. They completely forgot they even had a team in Seattle.
Yeah.
Well, that none of them were. Listen, before the jersey switch, none of them even know what the old. If you walked by a Seahawks fan with the old school fucking shit on from the 90s, they'd be like, "Who's what team is that?
Who's Largent?
No idea." Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I mean, get
yourself a Zorn jersey,
dude. I mean, I just feel like Jimmy Graham. There's so many different names you could throw out there that they would just be oblivious to.
Sean Alexander.
Alexander. Okay, so outside of the Seahawks, I mean, it's simple for me. I mean, I think the Rams are going to take it. I'm confident that I just don't have a lot of faith in the foundation that the Cardinals are going into this year. And it's, the social media hype has definitely made me waffle about Kyler because I was thinking that this year was going to be a great opportunity for him to just kind of show up and show up.
Well, what did they start out last year? Was it 7-0, 8-0?
Yeah.
They were out of control.
They went deep,
and everybody's like, and then they lost to the fucking Lions. Towards the end of the season, what are you guys doing? Can't do this. Yeah, it's a weird team. So the 49ers are
talk about there, don't we?
The 49ers are interesting to me because so either Trey Lance makes them like a 6-win team or they're like a 12 or 13-win team, in my opinion. I don't.
Are they not the most boomer bust team that we've seen in a long time?
Kyle Shanahan is going to be the difference maker there, though.
Right. And I mean, we saw him win 10 games.
They could win 5 or 15.
They almost went to the fucking Super Bowl.
I do feel like he's the guy to get them there, though. I mean, that's why I have no opinion on the Niners.
Clearly, they
can be great.
Clearly, they think that too.
If I'm a Niners fan, a part of me is really, really excited about Trey Lance, and then the other part of me is so fucking worried. I don't know what to do with myself. Because I don't know. We talked about this guy having the huge ceiling, but being a project. And now we're going into this year, and it's like, well, now it's yours, bud. So is he ready? Is he still a project? I don't know.
Gary?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking Niners, I have to agree completely. We don't know what we don't know about Trey Lance. And even the reports coming out of camp are really mixed, right? Like, he hits the big play, but then he can't hit a money underneath. And I think that's where, like, a guy like George Kittle might struggle with Trey Lance at quarterback, because that's where he thrives. That in between, in the margins, playing the hashes. And he's a huge weapon in that offense who makes a huge difference for that offense. And if you take him completely out of the game plan, Trey Lance hitting the big play don't matter, because the safeties can just bail out. And of course, the run game is going to make a difference. But this is the most enigmatic team that I think I can't recall a time when I thought a team could finish first or last in a division,
right?
And it would make complete sense if they finished first or last in a division. Because if the Seahawks can capture any sort of magic in a bottle between DK Metcalf and Drew Lock, and of course Noah Fant up there now, they could win 5 or 6 games. And I could see if the Niners let Jimmy G out the door and Trey Lance struggles, that team could win 4 or 5 games. And I would say, well, they're looking at next season because Trey Lance is a project. But if they go and win 15 games, it's Kyle Shanahan's a genius, put him in position to succeed, move the pocket a lot, found ways to get the run game going, used him as a dual threat. And I would not be surprised by that either.
Well, so maybe that's exactly the point, what you just said. Maybe the 49ers brass, obviously they see him every day. Maybe they're still fucking undecided. So they're like, we're either going to know by midway through the season if we have a playoff run or we're packing in for next season. Early. Because sometimes you don't really know what you're doing with a player once, especially an important situation or position like the quarterback, until you get him into real games.
Because he didn't look good in his only start last year. He did not look good.
Right. And
but he was a rookie, and he wasn't prepared to have to start.
He's going to have the whole year. And, obviously I think the Jimmy G thing was a huge distraction. Mm-hmm. But now the other thing is Debo. Like, Debo doesn't want to run the ball anymore. What the fuck? Like,
he's got incentives built in now. They're paying him and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, that was the big thing. He didn't want to be paid as only a wide receiver. He wanted to be paid. If they're going to use him as a dual threat, they're going to pay him.
I think that's fucking brilliant, honestly.
Well, here you go. Get running back money, pal. They make fucking less than you do.
Yeah. He got his wide receiver money, but he got some incentives. So maybe we'll see a similar Debo. That dude is probably the hardest guy south of Derrick Henry to tackle in the league, man. I watched Debo Samuel break 6-7 tackles on a play.
He's got to be one of the hardest
wide receiver.
He might be the hardest guy to game plan for on offense too, outside of the quarterback position. I mean, because you don't know.
About a Swiss Army.
You don't know where he's going to be.
Is he going to catch 10 balls or is he going to run 10 balls for 100 yards?
Right.
Yeah, we don't know.
Capable of both, equally as dangerous in both. Solid. All right.
So how much of a concern is Matthew Stafford's elbow for you two? Because I'm super concerned that they're talking about it as they're calling it thrower's elbow. And essentially, basically what that really means is, like, he cannot throw the ball without so much pain that he can't bear it. And we know Matthew Stafford is historically high on the pain tolerance scale. The dude separated his fucking shoulder and went in and made the game-winning play.
One of my favorite moments in NFL history.
Played with a broken collarbone. Yeah, absolutely. That mic'd up fucking film is probably the best sequence of film maybe that NFL Films has on record. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. That's my favorite thing of all time.
Right.
Yeah. Telling Doug, get the fuck off me. I'm going to the
Give me my helmet. Get out of here. I can throw if you need me to throw. Leave me alone.
He actually took somebody else's helmet.
Yeah.
But that guy not being able to throw
radio in that helmet.
How concerned are you for the Rams?
Well, I'm really concerned because I don't really know a whole fuck a lot about John Wolford. So I don't even know who that dude is. I couldn't tell you what he looks like.
He started a playoff game over Jared Goff a couple years ago.
Well, that's not fucking hard to do. Because I do remember that actually. Yeah. So the thing is like it sucks for the Rams because I think their offense has improved this year. Allen Robinson, I think a lot of people don't tend to know what that guy's about. Really, really underrated wide receiver in a couple of really shitty
We
positions.
covered that last week too.
Yeah, we played
If
for
you
the
did
Jags and the
hashtag
Bears.
last week. That was,
Like,
I mean,
come on,
Allen
guys.
Robinson
So
move was a
so
solid.
bringing him in there, especially
Happy
opposite
anniversary.
Cooper Kupp. But yeah, I'm super concerned about the Stafford thing. And again, you
Yeah.
talk about the separated shoulder and all of that. That was like a 22-year-old Matt Stafford. We all know what it's like to
Be 35 years old.
you start to get up there a little bit, and it's like,
Dude.
I do shit sometimes now, and I'm like, fuck, man, this scab. I mean, why is it taking a month? So it's.
I was
getting
just
old,
telling.
man.
I was just telling. I think it was Gary last week. I was saying sleeping wrong in your 30s just hits different, dude. Like, I mean, I turned 32 last week. And yeah, it used to be like I'd sleep wrong, and then by like noon, my neck's all right. No, man, I slept wrong on Thursday, and by Sunday, I still wanted to die.
In your 20s, dude, my early 20s, I'd wake up on like a hardwood floor somewhere, no blanket.
I used to sleep
In
on
my
the cement
jeans.
floor in your basement.
Yeah. You could do that shit. So it does get
I
different.
slept on fucking non-skid in the Navy. I slept on steel
yeah,
decks.
dude.
I slept wrapped around a radar cabinet once. Ridiculous.
Listen,
I can't.
Not
I
no
don't
more.
know.
Not
How
no
many
more.
times-
I slept with half my body hanging out of a dorm room closet, Gary. Yep.
It's true. It's true.
It's a true story. So,
Dude,
no.
that's crazy. That's
That
I
is-
don't even. Let's just move
Yeah.
on there. So
All right.
if we're gonna pick winners from every division, let's just continue into the West. We're gonna go backwards here. Who's the winner in the West? Gary?
I have to assume health for Stafford, so I'm picking the Rams.
Flint?
Yeah, I'm Rams too.
Yeah, I'm Rams. NFC South. Panthers, Falcons, Saints, Bucks. Who we got?
Bucks.
Fair enough. NFC North, Bears, Lions, Vikings, Packers.
I got Vikings.
I got Vikings.
I got Packers. All right. NFC East, Giants, Commanders, Cowboys, Eagles.
I went Cowboys.
I didn't make a pick when we were first talking about it. I am going to make this pick based on the fact that no team has won it 2 years in a row. I don't trust the Eagles, and the Giants are terrible. I'm picking the 9-8 Washington Commanders to win the NFC East.
Good for you, dude. It's nice seeing some resemblance of confidence in your team. I know
That
I
was
did a lot
like a
of
backhanded compliment. I should have said 8-9, but
yeah. God forbid you give them any kind of.
I gave them a winning
credibility.
record. I'm turning a
Jesus.
corner.
I'm
turning
fucking
over
done
a
with
new
them.
leaf.
I thought they were going to win last year. I
Yeah.
called them to win last year, and they
You
pissed
know who
me
doesn't
off.
deserve that, dude? Scary Terry don't deserve that.
He does.
That's facts.
He got paid though. He got paid.
He got paid. That's fine.
Paid.
I'm
Living
looking
that
forward to
Bradley
seeing-
Beal
I am
life.
looking forward to seeing Chase Young back. Honestly, I gave a lot of praise to the Eagles when we were talking about the NFC East, but simply put, for me, it's the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to secure the division. I mean, it is what it is. I'm going to have faith in the team. And let's wrap it up with the NFC North: Bears, Lions, Vikings, Packers. We've already done that. Haven't we?
We already did it, dude.
My bad.
You're
I was
We
running
didn't-
through
we
this
didn't do
list.
basement if you want to run back through basement. But
Okay,
Oh, we can
basement.
do the basement. I got
All
Bears
right.
there.
The Bears. Yeah, I think the Bears have the Bears.
I think
All
the
right,
Bears
and-
hoping the Bears so they can get a high pick.
I mean,
All
even the Lions are like, these guys suck.
The
yeah,
Bears,
exactly. East, NFC East,
Giants,
That's
Giants.
easy, yeah,
Okay,
Giants.
yeah.
Giants,
NFC South,
Falcons.
Falcons. Yeah.
Falcons.
It's a tough go. And in the West, it's
This is
the
the one
sixth
division-
man.
I
I'm
got
picking-
Seahawks.
I'm picking the Cardinals to finish last, and that's
No,
why, to be honest.
Wow,
I
really?
just
That's so
listen.
rude.
I think this off-season nonsense. I think things are going to unravel quickly for that team. I think it's early and often that Kyler's going to be offended by questions from the media,
I agree.
and I think that they're going to unravel early in that season. And Cliff's not going to be able to turn the corner.
I agree.
They don't have DeAndre Hopkins. I don't think Marquise Brown is a fucking difference maker in the NFL. He was awful in Baltimore. I don't
I
think
agree.
that the chemistry with Kyler is going to make a difference. They don't have weapons outside of DeAndre Hopkins when he's hurt.
Don't you think some of
sorry.
Don't you think some of what made Brown successful though with Lamar Jackson is going to translate to Kyler, like the extended plays? Because when you extend the play and you let the guy open up the field, I think that's where he was hitting pay dirt, right?
It may create more opportunity.
It wasn't off of his ability to run a route. He was just out there for a long time. Those defensive backs can only.
But it is about his ability to get open.
Right. I think Kyler will help that. But and Rondell Moore, I like Rondell Moore too. But
see, Gary. I agree with all of that.
I think the Cardinals are going to unravel early. I think the Seahawks are going to be sneaky better than people give them credit for. Maybe I'm a fool.
Yeah.
I like Drew Lock more than most people do. Yeah.
I think you're a fool too for the take, but I like the take. I respect it.
But here's the thing though, as I believe I agree with everything you said about the Cardinals, and I still believe that the Seahawks are going to be worse than that.
That's fair. They're rebuilding. I think Drew Lock is better than he's gotten credit for in Denver. They were not set up for success on offense.
That's fair.
There were so high expectations, and I think the Seahawks are going to sneak 6 wins. I think the Cardinals, it's going to unravel early, and they're probably going to maybe salvage 4 or 5 wins out of the season. And here's a hot take for you. I think Cliff Kingsbury's fired after the season. I think they're going to realize throughout this season that Cliff Kingsbury is not the coach they think he is based on the success they've had in the previous couple of years with a really, really soft schedule. They've had a really favorable schedule for 2 years. This year they've got a little bit of a tougher schedule, but I think things unravel early, and Cliff Kingsbury does not survive the 2022 season to coach in 2020.
Translation, Cliff is dog shit. That's Gary's words.
He's hot dog water. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I do believe that I don't believe that that's really that hot of a take, to be honest, though. I mean, fair. I think after this year, it could totally be justified if they don't perform well that he's gone. Like, I don't think anybody would be surprised on that.
Right, but I don't.
The hot take is predicting that they're not going to do it.
Right, because I don't think most people predict him to be in a situation to lose his job.
Sure, that's
right. So I agree. I agree with you on that, Raul. I think obviously if they win 5 games, he's probably getting canned.
My bad. I just decided that we needed to define the spiciness of that take, and that was still plenty spicy, but you had to think about that.
I like it. I like it all around.
All right, so let's move into the most important part of our segment. Start salute to service. Wait for I'm just gonna.
I was pouring a drink. I'm an asshole.
That was my fault.
I'm an asshole. I was pouring a drink.
My bad. Let's move. All right. Our salute to service this week is going to go to Sergeant First Class Dustin Ard, who passed away August 29th, 2019, serving during Operation Freedom Sentinel. He was 31 years old from Hyde Park, Utah. And he passed away from wounds sustained during combat operations in Zabul Province, Afghanistan. He was assigned to 2nd Battalion, 1st Special Forces Group Airborne at Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington. Sergeant First Class Dustin Ard, we have the watch. So I am looking forward to this next topic, but I won't interrupt Andy anymore. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask. I just want to ask Gary what he was drinking.
Oh, I got Makers. I've got the cask.
Okay.
Good one.
I was tossed up between 46 and cask. I went cask this time.
I don't know what happened to my palate with Makers. I really used to like Makers a lot, and now I don't think I like it anymore.
Yeah, you've probably gotten over sweet bourbon.
I don't know. It's I don't know. It's weird, but I used to like it. Used to be one
of my
favorites.
The last couple times I've drank Makers, I've felt like it almost had like a rum spice taste. And
yes, that is exactly.
And I'm not with that.
Even the 46, I was like, why does this taste weird?
I haven't had it in a long time.
I'm kind of out on Makers.
I've been drinking a lot of like that Defiant that I brought home one time. I had some scotch. I actually had last episode I was drinking tequila. I haven't had Makers in a very, very long time. So
I
I
drank
went.
tequila 2 episodes ago. I don't remember the end of the episode.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, I had it last week. I figured this week I was looking at whiskey and Makers kind of stuck out to me and said, fuck it, we'll grab some.
Next time you're up, we'll have to go to the new place because they got so much fucking tequila. I didn't know there was this much tequila in the world because most places
about that.
Well,
last
because
time we were out at the Max there.
right.
You
I mean, you're in New York, so most places are like we have Patron Silver and we have
Jose in the well.
Dude, this dude, they got like 5 Patrons. I'm like, I didn't even know Patron made this many things. They got the one is like aged.
You were telling me like red or something,
dude. It's good. They got.
Have you ever had mezcal?
Yeah, they got mezcal down there. It's good.
Okay.
They got that Casamigo shit is trash.
I just didn't know if you guys had even heard of that.
Yeah, no, they did this. I mean, this new place that it used to be a barbecue place. Now it's like a burrito joint. I know, go gentrification. But they he went all in on the tequila.
You learned so much in these years.
He got
that's
like
it. That's at Biggie's.
Yeah,
that's where they got all that.
Yeah, he's got like 30,
nice.
40 bottles of tequila, like different shit. You know, he's got them like rode out from top shelf to bottom shelf.
Sure.
And they do like flights and stuff down there. I've been trying to get into it. I still can't
do
that shit on the
a tequila flight and a fucking big ass burrito. Sign me up.
Oh, dude.
Sleeping for 3 days.
White guy burritos, though.
I'm not too. Well, I mean,
they are white guy burritos.
A majority of burritos that you're getting at any establishment right now is white burritos. Like
they are Americanized burritos.
A regular burrito is not.
They're whiter than Chipotle.
I'll be honest. A regular burrito in like Mexico is not really this like fucking awesome thing. It's just like it's like a fucking meat pocket. It's a hot pocket,
When I had a taco for the first time in Mexico, I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Mm-hmm.
Onions.
I mean, it was good as shit, but like, I'm a cilantro whore. I sit in the kitchen and like pick that shit off and eat it while I'm cooking.
Yeah, I mean, you just lost me at hard shell, honestly.
Hard shell.
Like, corn has a place, but then there's hard shell, and that's not a thing. It's just I'm just identifying things that you whites have fucked up.
Did you say hard shell? I didn't say hard shell.
No. I was just talking about tacos in general.
Yeah. Oh,
white people tacos with the hard shell.
Yeah, I just don't.
Well,
I can't do.
I'll eat a hard shell, but I'm eating a Tex-Mex taco on a hard shell. I'm eating beef with Taco Bell seasoning style, cheese, lettuce, some tomatoes, and some taco sauce.
Yeah.
I'm Americanizing the shit out of that. But if I'm eating authentic tacos, soft shell.
Most people I know also don't even use like a corn tortilla. Anyways, they're using flour tortillas. So that's completely.
Yeah, but if you're not heating that bitch up on a pan, then
you better be heating it up on a pan.
And you're turning it with your fucking bare hands. So it's the only way to do it. So I've actually got a proper cast iron comal. That's how I heat up my tortillas always. Anyways, let's jump into our mailbag, man. This is kind of like my first. This first one is kind of my favorite one. So I'm looking Love it.
Right.
So
we are in our bag.
In the bag. We secured the bag. Now we're in that bitch.
So does it tell who asked these questions?
No, I should do that from now on.
I just was curious.
That's my fault. I will make sure that the viewer gets called out for their question.
So, hey, viewer, thanks for asking this question because it was actually my favorite one in the mailbag. Will
Gary
Aaron
fucked it up.
miss Devontae more than Devontae will miss Aaron? The answer is very simple. It's yes, he will. Because Devontae's not going to be missing. I'm not trying to discredit Aaron Rodgers, to be clear. But Derek Carr and Devontae got a history. There's no way that's not going to be a good thing. Period. Just period. So I feel like for me is a no-brainer. Aaron will absolutely miss Devontae more.
I agree. I'm 100% just because it's not like Devontae went to a team with like a shitty quarterback and a terrible like offense in general. He's lined up side by side with another good receiver. He is a serviceable quarterback. I mean, I'm not huge on Carr, but he's well above average. So like that's, to me, translates way better than now Rodgers has fucking Alan Lazard. And I think he's going to do some stuff. I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers. We watch this guy, defy the odds every year, throwing a million touchdowns and practically no interceptions. But I do think that
all while in space.
I do think that what Rodgers has lost is much more than what Adams is losing in this transition.
Yeah, I think he's going to need a lot more ayahuasca this season. Gary, what are your thoughts? Do you have any objections?
I wanted so badly to turn this on its head and say, yes, Aaron Jones will miss Devontae more than Devontae will. But
I like that.
I'm not going to do that. Because we know what this question's about. I'm a little tossed up on this because of who Aaron Rodgers is, right? And I think if anybody's going to make Alan Lazard a star and Romeo Doubs a star and Robert Tonyan's going to be a productive tight end, it's Aaron Rodgers, right? But Andy hit it on the head. Devontae's going to a place with a great quarterback. He's very underrated. I would disagree, Andy, that he's not just serviceable. He's a great quarterback. He's just been saddled with some complications.
I call him well above average, like 2 sentences later.
Okay, then we'll go with well above average, but I'll take that a step further. That I think Derek Carr's a great quarterback. I think that he's sneaky prolific on a bad team. He takes it. Last year's Vegas Raiders roster was not a playoff roster, but they made the playoffs because of some of the plays that Derek Carr can make in crunch time. I think this year with Davante Adams on that squad, the chemistry, he's not going to have to be chasing points all the time late in games. And I think they're going to enjoy really smooth sailing. And Devontae's going to miss Aaron less than Aaron's going to miss Devontae, because I think in week 9, 10, 11, we're going to hear Aaron Rodgers repeating what he's saying this week. And I'm tired of these drops. I'm tired of these miscues. I'm tired of these brain farts from these rookie wide receivers. We're going to hear that midseason from him. This is absolutely true. Aaron's going to miss Devontae more than Devontae will miss Aaron.
Well, there you have it. Thank you, viewer, for submitting your question. Next time, we will shout you out. We did not this time because of a failure. I'm just kidding.
No, we're not pointing any fingers.
No, we're not pointing any fingers. God forbid the one guy who has initiative in this group do anything for us. All right.
Hey, this is a good point. Rodgers does a lot of this. He does throw the ball away. He's very cautious with the ball, which could really negatively impact that offense because they don't have that safety,
that skill set,
that security blanket that Davante Adams has been, for sure. Great point, Dad.
All right, so this is another fantastic question. Thank you, viewer, for submitting your question. Better ratio this season, Kyler's KD or his TD to interception rate? I mean, I think his KD is going to be fucking elite, dude. I mean, elite. But is he going to have more touchdowns to interceptions than he has killed death? I guess the real answer has to be TD interception rate, only because the way the volumes work, you don't always get stuck with good teams on the KDs. I mean, I just feel like it's kind of a bias. But maybe he will be playing more Call of Duty than he will be studying tape, regardless of whether or not he is contractually obligated.
That's the ratio we can all get behind.
Right. I gotta also go TD to INT. Just because this made me actually have to fucking look earlier. So a 1.5 to a 2.0 KD ratio is considered top 10%. Yep. Kyler finishes just over 2 with the TD to INT. So I don't know how good he actually is at Call of Duty. I think we're going with the touchdown to INT.
There it is.
I bet he bitches a lot. I bet she's like that audio clip of like,
dude,
get shit on.
Nobody
want me, you pussy.
Nobody rage quits more than Kyler, guaranteed.
Besides like Ben Simmons, probably, but
No, Ben Simmons is up there.
I don't think there's any. I don't think
elite
there's.
rage quit.
I don't think there's any rage quitting. I think it's more like a sorrowful, like a sore loser quit, where he doesn't necessarily complain.
He just sets the paddle down and then leaves the group chat.
He just quits.
Yeah, he just quits and cries.
All of a sudden, his player turns to AI, and you had no forewarning. Just gone.
Yeah, he just goes and then like rummages through a Kardashian account on Instagram or something. So Gary, what's better? What's it going to be better?
It's going to be close. It's going to be close because Kyler actually streams with one of the better streaming teams with call it. And I had to look it up. He's actually like in that 1.5 to 2.0 range. So it's going to be close. But I do think that he's going to edge out his KD, not by much. I think, like I said, I think things are going to fall apart early. I think we're going to see Kyler struggle, but I think we're also going to see him get some garbage time stats to fill up the stat sheet. So it's going to be by maybe a quarter point here. We might see like a 2.1 touchdown to INT and maybe a 1.8 on the KD, right around there.
I mean, 1.8 is a very high, like
pretty elite.
I'm not trying to claim that I was good at all, but like I was at like a 1.12, and I thought I was the shit.
Getting over 1.0 is.
Oh, I just kept it over 1. I think all you had to do was keep it over 1.
Yeah, 1 was always my. If I get below 1, I'm mad. But you're up in 1.5.
Oh no, if I get below 1, I'm starting a whole new account. So
like, bro, if I'm 6 and 4, I'm camping.
Oh, for sure. Camping. My favorite thing back in the day of the Xbox 360 days was to go in and we'd have a whole full party. We'd jump into a lobby and we would simultaneously change our clan tag to camp and just watch all the people cycle through in the lobbies.
They're out,
yeah. They're like, no, we're not hanging out with this. And then they would try us.
Camping was the fucking, especially Odd Job. If you ever allowed him to be in the game, camping with Odd Job was fucking brutal.
Dude, that game was so glitched though. The GoldenEye, like if you played with like proximity mines, you just fucking that. Like if that was an online game now, the rage quitting videos out there would be fucking insane.
People would be burning their houses down.
Yeah, thank God those TVs were made of glass back then.
Oh yeah, you couldn't even pick a fucking 22-inch up.
Yeah, now without 2-person assistance.
That's a 2-man lift.
Yeah, that's a 2-man lift.
Those tube televisions, man.
Jesus. All right, let's jump into the next one in our mailbag. Will Daboll turn things around for the Giants? No.
I mean, I was going to go with fuck no. But yeah, I support no. And for 2 reasons. Not just because it's the Giants, but because
there's nothing to do with Daboll.
He sucks. I don't think listen. I'm not a big Daboll fan either. Like I don't think that I don't know. I just think that he was in a situation where he was shielded in a sense and
sure.
But the Giants are a fucking dumpster fire. Like I feel like they're like in a decade's worth of trouble at this point. Well, I mean, years served kind of counts at this point because it's been a few years.
We're giving them credit for years.
Yeah,
he's gonna get their fucking time served.
They're just they got the time served credit and they're in trouble, man. It's just it's the whole
it's
thing.
A tough go.
Once they hired once they had Pedo Stash there, like it was all weird to me.
Oh God.
I don't know, man. That team's fucked. So no, he's not. He's not.
McAdoo.
Yeah, McAdoo. Mm-hmm. Christ, stay away from
tough
school,
go.
bud.
You know damn well that dude smelled of fucking Marlboros and bologna.
Oh, dude. Bologna. Oscar Mayer.
On to the next one. Last one for the night.
Did I get the answer?
Yeah. Come on, Raul.
Oh, Gary, fine. I'm sorry, fucking Andy's so long-winded.
Because it's
Gary,
probably going to be different.
Oh yeah, for sure.
No, and fuck no, we're probably close, right? And I want to say that this is Andy. You and I have talked about this principle for a long time. Brian Daboll is another example of the +1 rule. He's a really, really good offensive coordinator. And when given weapons, he has shown that he can succeed. Josh Allen, he turned him into a guy that really commanded that offense. And now Josh Allen is the supernova that is just he's coach proof now, right? There's guys that are coach proof, Rodgers, Brady, etc. Josh Allen's among that group. But Brian Daboll is not a head coach. And the way he has handled this offseason tells me that. The interviews he's had, the talks he's had, talking about the Giants like as like, oh, Super Bowl hopefuls, like that's too much for me. You're clearly not in control of your surroundings as a head coach if you go into the situation in New York and see what that team is, and then you're out in the public saying, yeah, we're looking at the Super Bowl. Like, no, you're fucking not. No, you're fucking not. So this to me is another example of the +1 rule. And for those that haven't heard us explain what the +1 rule is before, every single person that has success in a role always ends up in a position that is +1 too many for their skill set. And, guys like Jim Schwartz and, Rod Marinelli and,
Why they gotta always be fucking Lions coaches?
Yeah, there's 2 Lions coaches, but I'll say North Turner as well. North Turner, really good offense coordinator, not a great head coach. Guys like that.
Well, some guys go into the upper management jobs too, where they should have been a coach.
Right? Guys that are GMs, that are better scouts, those sorts of things. So Brian Daboll's another example of a guy who I think is really, really good at developing young quarterbacks, but also designing strong offensive schemes, but is not cut out for the head coaching position. So for me, for that reason, not because of all the ecosystem that's in New York, but because of what Brian Daboll is, this is true. Or this is false. I'm sorry. He will not turn things around for the Giants.
Great. Hey, thanks for finding the longest way possible to agree.
You guys went so quick, though. I figured I had a little runway.
Hey,
right?
man, what else is there to say? I mean, I'm not trying to short the mailbag here. If we're gonna get in the bag, we're getting all the way in. But come on, we're throwing a water.
It was an opportunity for me to throw out there the +1 rule that Indy and I talk about a lot.
I do like the +1 rule.
Yeah.
Right.
I just feel like as long as Daniel Jones is your guy behind center, and as long as Saquon Barkley continues to have ACLs made out of balsam wood, I think that we're probably like how fucking specific that got. Yeah, dude, my man's not even 2-ply. He's like that shit that your finger pokes through when you're wiping. Like that's what his ACL is made out of.
It's got the Target bathroom tissue.
Oh, dude, yeah. For sure.
We ready for the last one?
There's another one?
There is
that wasn't on that list.
That was 3 of 4.
That's your fault. Are the Panthers a better team with Baker? That is my fault. That was on there. My bad. Anyways, are the Panthers a better team with Baker? Allow me to waffle. Andy.
This is tough, man.
Right? Fuck. I feel like I was really confident in yes going into right now, and I'm like,
I'm going to say yes as long as they don't fuck it up. As long as they don't fuck it up by doing what I said earlier and looking at a couple bad games of Baker, because it's going to happen, and saying, oh, Sam Darnold. It's like the fucking meme where the guy is walking with the chick looking at the other chick. That's what they did last year. I feel like that's what they're going to do again. There's already been some weird talk since Baker's been there of oh, no. If Baker's your guy, let him be your guy. Unless it gets really, really fucking bad. And that's not a 3 or 4 week stretch. That has to be,
2 and
more.
7.
There has to be more foundation. He's coming into a new situation. If you want him to be your guy, let him try to be your guy. Give him the season. So I do think with that very specific set of rules that I just gave to Carolina's brass, which they're going to follow, I do think they're a better team.
Matt Rule has joined the chat. Look, I think of all of us, including Stove, who was with us all last season talking about Baker Mayfield. I think of all of us, I'm the highest on Baker. And for me, it boils down to who the Cleveland Browns were when he was healthy and when people around him were healthy. I think that in a system that Baker can take control and on a team that has some weapons, because I believe in some of the offensive weapons that Carolina has, assuming, again, big assumption, assuming Christian McCaffrey is available for that team, Carolina's a better team with Baker. And I don't think it's close because Sam Darnold is still seeing Bill Belichick's ghosts, and he doesn't even fucking play in that division anymore. Sam Darnold needs to be cut. And Andy, this is my counterpoint to your point about give Baker the reins. You have to cut Darnold before the season starts because you can't trade him. They've already entertained that idea. Nobody fucking wants him. Nobody's going to pay any portion of that contract. So you have to cut Sam Darnold and eat everything you've given up for him, including money and draft picks that you traded to the Jets to get him. Wash yourself clean of that and be 100% invested in Baker. I think Baker Mayfield is a much better quarterback than he got credit for in Cleveland because of the ego of Kevin Stefanski. And we see exactly what happened in Minnesota with Kevin Stefanski and Mike Zimmer and all of the issues that they had up there. Kevin Stefanski is pretty toxic as a coach. He was really toxic in Cleveland when it came to Baker. Matt Rule is a much different approach. That city, that ownership group, that coaching staff is ready to accept a winner. And Baker Mayfield, with a few exceptions in Cleveland, is a winner. He won in college. He won the only playoff game the Browns have won in this fucking millennium. They're a better team in Carolina with Baker, and they have to go all in. They have to release Sam Darnold before the season starts.
And with that being said, Baker makes the Panthers a better team. I agree, because in order to not agree with that would contradict my prior statement that the Panthers are taking the fucking division. And they are. They're taking the division. And so with that being said,
13.
I'm gonna double down with Baker, even though he's Boomer Sooner, even though he was an absolute fucking 55-gallon barrel of hot dog water in Cleveland.
He wasn't, though. He wasn't.
He had his moments. There was some really, really high highs and some really low lows.
And he played well enough in that game against Kansas City.
That fucking
that
bar
he outdueled Mahomes in that game.
Bro, that bar was Papa Smurf low. That fucking dude.
Sure.
It's the Browns.
That's fair.
It's entertaining.
I mean, I listen. I think high
Jeff
highs,
agrees
low
with
lows.
you. Jeff agrees with you, Raul. Carolina in the South.
My man.
I hope you guys are fucking right. I mean, you're not, but like I really hope you are. I would.
That's fine. I mean, it's easy for you to take a safe route. We're gonna,
I mean, I have to. Like, I mean,
I get it. I get it.
Same
got faith in Baker.
Fucking believe in Santa Claus. Like, I just,
same reason why you're a Lions fan. You're just not really good with making good decisions, and I understand that. No, I understand.
We damn boys.
Yeah, you're right. Good call. Good call. Appreciate that. Lining me up there.
It's what we do. I'm fucking bobbing and weaving over here. You're throwing.
One thing I've appreciated about you, Andy, just to go ahead and extend the olive branch, is that you and I are both realistic fans of our teams. As are you, Gary, of course. We're all realistic fans. We know we're not going to the fucking Super Bowl this year, fellas. Like, we all know. We gotta call out our team. We gotta hold our team accountable, goddammit. It's real fans like us that keep the organization intact.
I'm conditioned to accept failure.
No shit, dude. You're like, battle hardened.
It's a mindset.
You were charcoal and now you were diamond.
I mean, I'm Randy Quaid in fucking Major League.
Oh yeah,
that's where we are.
Still
fucking up.
That is a fucking phenomenal ref.
I mean, it's.
I love that reference so much, though. That is so good.
I'll be honest, there's probably no better way to end the show. So with that being said, closing thoughts, boys. Gary can't even breathe. Andy,
I can't. That's such a good reference.
No, I can't wait to dig into the AFC because
it's going to be way more entertaining.
I think finally, we've had this thing for years where like the NFL's been the dominant, factor in the NFL, and you would have the Patriots or something like that poking their heads out, and we're shifting now. We used to be, it was like, oh, I don't know, man. There's like fucking 8 teams that can win the NFC. Now it's kind of not that way, and I think the AFC is starting to kind of emerge is that more action-packed conference. So that'll be fun.
Gary, now that you've caught your breath?
I agree 100%. Next week's going to be fun. AFC is stacked. It's 8, 9 deep, and they've probably got 12 teams that you could say are really good.
Yeah.
8 that are
There's
likely,
a whole division that are like Super Bowl contenders.
Right. Look at the Ravens were in first place when Lamar went down, and the AFC is going to be fun to preview next week. I think we're going to have some real spirited debate next week when looking at a couple of those divisions. I think we're going to have some really good conversations.
Oh, we better. There's no way we're going to agree like we did.
The NFC, like you said, Andy, you put it perfectly. There's like 3, maybe 4 teams that you consider Super Bowl aspirations for. Not like that in the AFC. There's a fucking awesome collection of teams over there.
Yeah, there's 3, 4 in one division. Again, like this
legitimately
so
4, right? You have to say there's 4 in one division
no
that are saying Super Bowl is possible. That's an entire division.
Just a little teaser for next week. Tuesday, same time, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. Backyard Blitz. Brought
next week,
by
tune in. We're going to be talking AFC.
North
Sorry. I'm hitting some comments here. AFC next week, Jeff. We look forward to seeing you. I know you're a big AFC.
If you got questions, be sure to message us. Be sure to hit us up so that you can be in the mailbag. We're trying to be in our bag every single week.
And Gary might remember that you asked the question. He might not.
He might shout you out. You may have to tune in to remind him that we need to be shouted at. So, anyways, you sip on your spicy makers. Andy and I are going to handle the real business.
That's fair.
That being said, the boys, Andy Flint, Gary Freeze, Raul Herrera, Backyard Blitz, brought to you by Backyard Sports Media. We are out of here. See you guys next week.